All right, I'm back. Yes, I know. I've been gone for a hot minute. I know I'm wearing this headscarf too. A lot has happened in the last month or so since I've been away. Probably 3 weeks more so. And since I made a last video. So I got into a car accident the day before my birthday, which was not a great birthday present. Also got these ones. These are pretty. They're blue and green cat eye. Loving them. Also got almond shape too, just to give a little tap all shit. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. Okay. Yeah, I got into a car accident. I'm fine. Emotionally, I was a wreck for 2 days straight. I called every person I know, most of them, and just like boo-hooed on the phone. I know it sounds crazy to be crying for over a fucking car accident, but it happened. My car is fine. It's getting fixed. I'm picking it up tomorrow. I'm not gonna say anything else that has happened, but things have happened. Also, look at my background. I got some little decor, little flowers, little decor back here and everything. Hopefully, you know, everything looks cute for everybody out there watching. And what else? It's also like 80 fucking degrees right now. So like, I'm just hot. I'm trying to survive, you know? I'm ready to like drink my rest of my twisted tea that I got because I started drinking those and they're actually really, really nice. They're subtle, they're soft, they're very easy on the belly. And take my little edible and go to sleep because I'm tired. But anyway, without further ado, hey, it's Kay. Welcome to my little corner of the internet. All right, so I'm finally going to finish up this series because I've been not putting it off, but I haven't been able to finish it in a long time. It's been a while since I did the last one. The last one was on Mystic Force. I had a few people comment and say that they loved it. One of my friends commented on it and everything, which is very sweet of them. And they talked about it and they said that they love the series and everything like that. And I've been loving doing this because it's reliving part of my childhood. Actually, when I first moved down to Virginia and I was like kind of like home most of the time, I was watching like SPD and Mystic Force and Dino Thunder all over again. And I also watched what was it called? What was the one that I watched that was really what the fuck? RPM, which other than the girl who's in Ghost right now on CBS, I could have cared less for the entire show. I was like, oh wow, this is grade A work. Anyway, but now I get to finish and talk about the last one in this installment of Power Rangers, and this one is Power Rangers SPD. Now, you're probably like, I know some people probably don't like SPD particularly just because it's about police force, but to me, it's kind of a cool series. I actually like how this one panned out a bit. I thought it was a quite interesting cast of people and characters, and I enjoyed it for at least 70 to 80% of it. There were some episodes I didn't like. There's some characters I really didn't care for. I'll get into that later. But let's start from all at the beginning. SPD is the 12th installment of the Power Rangers franchise at this time. I think this one came just after Mystic Force, if I'm not correct. And then also like Dino Force, Mystic Force. This is also part of Jetix. It premiered February 5th, 2005. It was a part of the Jetix series. It was on Jetix. It went to Toon Disney, and it was part of and then for a brief moment of time, it was also a part of ABC Family. So they so it had a little bit of bouncing around, but I remember coming on Jetix and Toon Disney and everything like that. I remember watching this continuously. I think the network just changed its title, but like honestly, it was all the same at some point. So again, it was the 12th installment of the Power Ranger series and everything like that. It's set in, ironically, it is set in the future at the time it came out. So it came out in 2005. So it's set 20 years in the future, which would have been 2025, which was literally last year. And none of the things that are in this show happened on Earth at all. So it's set in the far future, and it has advanced technology, and it's somewhat of advanced civilization. And it has aliens and aircrafts and all this kind of stuff. And they have aliens live on Earth with human beings and coexist. They have regular, normal jobs. They work like everybody else. So it's basically just like not a utopia, but it is a futuristic world that most people probably be like, oh, we should be living like that. Aliens should come to Earth and we all live together. And yay. So SPD, Space Patrol Delta, is a police force that protects and serves Earth. Here, SPD in general is actually a bigger organization, or I guess organization, is bigger than just Earth. It's not just only on Earth. It's on different planets across the entire galaxy throughout time. So essentially, it is the police force, obviously, but it is also it's a little bit more than that. So we get introduced to our Rangers, who are Sky, Bridge, Sydney, Jack, and Z, who are the Rangers in this series. They're the Rangers that we focus on. So actually in this series, because it's the police force, they actually have an A squad and a B squad, and probably a D and a C squad too. Everybody part of this is kind of like our police officers, but these are like the top tier, these two, A squad and B squad. A squad, which all of them don't actually have names in the show, but what's fun fact about this is that the A squad has a female Red Ranger, which I think is probably one of the first times they've ever actually done that. And then B squad consisted of the other Rangers, because A squad went off to fight in a battle, but then they got lost in space, so they went missing for a while and everything like that. We'll come back to that later. And B squad had to step up and protect Earth. So B squad is now got their morphers and Rangers. Sky is the Blue Ranger, Bridge is the Green Ranger, Sydney is the Pink Ranger, Jack is the Red Ranger, and Z is the Yellow Ranger. They're also numerically too, so the Red Ranger is number 1 and Sydney is number 5. So they go numerically like that. It is interesting, these Rangers and their abilities. So this is one of the same ones, just like Dino Thunder and Mystic Force, where outside of their morphing ability, they actually have their own special abilities. So Jack has the ability to walk through solid objects. He can walk through walls and everything like that. So that's let's backtrack a little bit tiny. So Sky, Bridge, and Sydney were all at the Cadet Academy training to become police officers, and they eventually become B Squad. Z and Jack are actually not a part of the Cadet Academy. They just happen to get into a fight, a kerfluffle at the beginning, and they wind up joining SPD, to which they then become the Red Ranger and the Yellow Ranger. Each one of them has their own special abilities. Jack can walk through walls, like we said before. Sky has the ability to create force fields, not very big ones, but he can do that. He has the ability to do that. Bridge has the ability to sort of replay moments that have happened that just passed, sort of like an effect that he does. He always wears gloves and he always does buttery. He's definitely on the spectrum in this show. Leave it there. Then Z has the ability to duplicate herself. So she can probably just make 1 or 2 other versions of herself. She can't like make multiple, but she can make another version of herself. She can clone herself essentially. And Sydney, she has the ability to turn into different materials like metal, rock, stone, and everything. But I don't know if it was ever, it was never really explained on the show, but like, she can only turn her hand. She can't turn the rest of her body that way. So it kind of is like, whilst this is a cool and impressive ability, essentially there's nothing really else you can do with it. I mean, turn your hand to a stone, okay, cool, whatever. Anywho, we move on. They become Rangers. Sky actually, his father was a police officer, which is why he became one. And he thought he was going to be the Red Ranger, but he wound up being the Blue Ranger. But we'll get to that at the tail end as well. They are fighting. They're getting used to being in a team because remember, Sky and Jack and Z were never part of the Police Cadet Academy. Sydney, Bridge, and Sky all were. They worked with each other for a long time. They knew how to get along with each other, and then these two come along. Now, essentially, at some point, like both groups, they all get along well with each other at some point. They all learn to have fun and everything. But eventually, obviously, they all have their differences. I think Jack, as a Red Ranger, I think he eventually matured enough to get into a position where he was actually seen as a leader. And I think that was pretty... And that was good. I think that was a good arc for him as a storyline. And then Sky they really kind of learned to get along with each other, and Bridge and everybody kind of meshed together well at some point until, we get to later. So then we also have Doggy Kruger, who is their commander-in-chief, who is this big blue dog who walks around and is kind of angry all the time because his home planet was destroyed by the Emperor Grum. Emperor Grum in the Tribenian Empire. He lost his beloved. I cannot remember her name or pronounce it, so please forgive me. but he lost his beloved wife, and he's sort of just trying to redeem himself and also redeem his planet and everything like that. And so he alongside Dr. Cat, who basically does a lot of the technology, upgrading the Rangers, making sure their Zora goes out and everything like that. She's another level of intelligence, and she's also a cat, actually. Oh, that's also another thing too. A lot of the aliens in the show are actually sort of hybrids of like humans and animals. So there's Dr. Cat, who's actually a cat, who's also human, who's also mixed with, like, she's an alien cat, and he's also a dog named Doggy. He's an actual dog, Doggy Kruger. He growls and everything like that. The face mask for it was like, obviously it was fake, but it was actually pretty cool, like how it was designed and everything like that. And then so let's kind of move forward here. We get to the point where Doggy is now, so we get to a point where so then we have Doggy and everything, and then we also have two other Rangers who came in kind of like one in the middle and the other one really literally at the end, which was Sam and Nova, there were two futuristic Rangers from the farther future who came along and everything like that, and legitimately only demorph for like 10 seconds, not even 10 seconds, like 5 seconds at the very end of the show. I guess there was an explanation for that in the whole spiel of why this had to happen, but Sam was literally in his morph suit his entire time on the show, and he was the Omega Ranger, so I didn't really care for Sam because he just did nothing for me as a new Ranger coming along. Also, Doggy became the Shadow Ranger. Doggy became the Shadow Ranger. And again, like Korag from Mystic Force, he's one of my favorite additional Rangers to be added to the show, along with Tommy. He just brought another level of strength and fight and fierceness and courageousness. And although somebody had pointed out that how does his nose fit into his mask, but we're not going to get into those right now. Okay. Then we have other characters like Piggy, Boom, Ali, the Supreme Commander, Fowler Birdie, who is Doggy's basically his boss. And then we have the Sergeant Silverback, which is basically just, again, Fowler is a bird, Silverback is a monkey who trained the Rangers and everything like that. We'll get to the SWAT thing in a second. So, then we have the villains of this show. We have Emperor Grum, Moira, Morgana, Broodwing, the Crybots, and I guess Omi the Magnificent. I don't remember this character, so please forgive me because I don't know who this person is. So Emperor Grum wanted to conquer Earth and everything like that. Morgana and, if I'm correct, Morgana and Moira were both the same character, but one was the child version and the other one was an adult version. And her ability was she could draw the monsters and bring them to life. That was literally how they would create the monsters for the show. Just like how Mystic Force was just like random magical creatures that existed or created sort of some way, shape, or form. And then Dino Thunder was like them merging three creatures together and making one, type of scenario. So they're fighting to protect Earth. This show, and to me, SPD is a good one. I think that I appreciate the show for what it is and sort of the characters and their arcs in some way, shape, or form. We had some really heartfelt stories like Sky talking about his father, and then he finds the guy who actually killed him. Spoiler alert, sorry. And he gets his sort of vengeance, not revenge, but he sort of avenges his father's death because this is the man who took him out and everything like that. And we have moments where Jack stepped up to be the leader. We have moments where the Pink Ranger, who's sort of like the proud princess of it all, she winds up being a fierce fighter and really proving that she's more than just a pretty face and some blonde hair. And Bridge shows that he is capable of being a strong and tough and a leader and everything like that, just as much as any of the other guys on the team. My favorite episode would be the SWAT episode because, one other thing is that this series actually had 8 two-parter episodes. So they did them multiple times from the beginning to the end. Like this one had probably like some of the most. And one of my favorite ones was the SWAT one because that was their upgrade. Like Mystic Force they had an upgrade to the legendary mode. This was their upgrade to their next level in B&B Squad. It wasn't really anything to go home about, but they got these cool weapons and they got these vests and everything, and they got new Zords. So their Zords were actually just like mobiles, like just like a car or a car, like cars in a plane essentially, and they all combine together to make their Megazord. And then their SWAT one which was really cool because it could fly into space. It was basically like a plane. There were all these little mini jets flying together and everything like that. So their Zords was cool. I still prefer Mystic Force's Zords because they had just so much more, but I did like SPD's Zord. I also like the fact that the command center turned into a fucking Zord too, which whoever was in that writing room when that happened, kudos to you. That was good. So, and that was essentially Doggy Kruger's Zord. Okay, I gotta wrap this up. All right, that was essentially Doggy Kruger's Zord, basically. And then there was like Piggy and everything like that. He was just a guy who was like a merchant who wound up getting money, but creating a restaurant of disgustingness, and he lived in filth and everything like that. I'm running through this because it's just like, I'm sorry, I have to kind of run through this right now, but like, this show really is one of my favorites. I do like SPD. I do like the SWAT. I do like the Battleizer. It's okay. It's nothing to write home about. Again, it's just them. It's just Jack combining with the dog and making it a Battleizer. He also turned into a gun too, so like that was like their battle weapon to finish off the monsters. Also, in this show, they never actually destroy the monsters. They actually just arrest them. They put them in these little cell sort of things, like cards, and they arrest them. So their morphers was like their judge, trial, and jury. And so they would prove that if they were guilty or innocent. And then once they were found they're innocent, they would blast them with something, and then boom, they're in the card, and that's their cell essentially. All in all, I'm kind of missing a lot in this, sadly, but it's been a hot minute since I've been on the camera, so I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things. But overall, also one thing about Broodwing, he also was always looking just to make a payday. Like, he was always looking for money. And always looking for money. That was crazy. Oh, also there was another two-part episode in this. So another two-parter was another two-parter in this show was they brought Dino Thunder, the characters from Dino Thunder from the past, and helped them in the SPD era. So they kind of had all the Dino Thunders from Tommy to, I know I just did a video on this, but I do not remember this, the cast of Dino Thunder, the Rangers, and they brought them in to help battle and everything like that, and then they went back to their timeline and everything like that. Overall, I give it a 7 out of 10. I like SPD. I do love SPD. It has a special place in my heart, but I do think that it was not as good as maybe Mystic Force or Dino Thunder. I do think I do like Jack's storyline. I also love one other thing. I also love the twist to all of their stories where you find out that the reason they have all these abilities isn't because they were just born with them, but it's because their parents were actually scientists at SPD. Even Jax and Z's, even though they were on the streets and kind of being orphans and everything like that, their parents were scientists. So that's why all of them have the abilities that they have. So their parents actually knew each other before the kids were born. So they were kind of destined to be with each other. So all in all, I again, 7 out of 10. I think it's a good series. I think it's a strong one. I do like it. I do love Jack's story at the end where he kind of just walked off into the sunset with somebody and just wanted to go be happy, to get back to the home, to get back to the people. I like how Sky finally became a Red Ranger, Bridge became the blue one, and then Z and Scott and Z and Sydney all kind of all meshed together very well and got along with each other. It is one of the better. It is a good one. Again, I don't care for a lot of the ones that came after them, so no offense, but SPD, Mystic Force, and Dino Thunder will always be my top 3 forever throughout time. And yeah, that's it. Thank you all so much for joining me for this lovely but late video. I appreciate all of you for joining and watching and everything. I hope that I can continue to do this. I don't think I'll be interfering, or don't think my life will be interfered with too much in the next few weeks, but then again, I just said that, so chances are tomorrow something's gonna happen. We'll see what happens next week. But until then, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for joining me. And I'm so happy to be back to making my content again. And yeah, have a good one, guys.